Is it possible to meet a woman who isn't seeing other men? This is a dude who's 35 who's asking this question. I'm just going to read it out. I'm really tired of meeting women, talking stages, dating. I'm consistently hearing how men are awful because they use women for sex. Yet whenever I meet a woman, she almost always has a hookup. FWB, that stands for Friends with Benefits, on the side. It really kills any flow of building anything when she doesn't call, text you back the next day because she's banging another dude. Here I am talking with you all week between our dates, yet you're sleeping with other people. How am I ever supposed to build any trust with you or even care about what you say after that? I don't do that. When I break it off, I get tested, do my own thing for a while, reach out to someone only when actually interested. I'm not a prude or anything. I just find it highly hypocritical that men are demonized for chasing tail, yet women almost always have more sex than the dudes they demonize. And of course, putting these men pay for dates, in quotation standards on us to invest our energy in her when she's again banging other dudes. I've had women at one time ask me to delete my other contacts just for her to change her mind a week later, and she never removes her, leaving me to start all over again looking for dates. Mind you, I mean talking as in we have been on a date or two already, known each other for a while, and it's clear that I want to date them and have been forward with them, aka expecting me to put in the effort to prove myself and my intentions while she's still chatting around or even still banging other dudes. All right, so this guy's complaint is relatively common. I've had dudes call in on my Unplugged Alpha podcast show on that channel. I'll put a card up in the top right. If you're not subscribed, you should go check it out. Expressing this sort of issue many times before. And like I said, it's not that uncommon. It's been said that there are no single women. So even though you're on a dating app, which it sounds like what this guy's doing, or if you're doing cold approach or whatever it happens to be, every chick that you're dealing with is generally talking with or maybe even being intimate with other dudes. Again, there are no single women. You just have to understand that. There's probably a very small contingent, like a small percentage of women that will only date one guy at a time. I mean, I've heard women, obviously say, I only date one guy at a time and I want to, be taken serious and all that sort of stuff. Fine, sure, but there's always conflicts between what women say and what they do. So you got to watch their behavior. And if there's clear evidence that, they're seeing other people, other dudes, let's not use people, other dudes, then it's going on. I remember there was this one time that I was seeing this gal and she got all bent out of shape because, I was dating non-monogamous when I was spinning plates, obviously, considering options. And, so so what's your deal then, right? Are you doing, you seen other people? Oh, no. I only see one person at a time. So by that time we had already connected on social media. It was probably on Facebook or some form of a story, like a 24-hour story. Maybe it was on Instagram. And, she had, she'd been busy, let's say Saturday night or something like that. And I had maybe said to her earlier this week, hey, what are you doing Saturday night? And she's like, no, I'm busy or whatever. Okay, fine, whatever. And you get up in the morning, you're checking social media, and there's a picture of 2 glasses of wine sitting on the table with hors d'oeuvres and stuff like that. It's like what she's doing, right? She's out with another dude, right? So you're just going to get that. That's just the status of modern women today. It's going to be very, very difficult for a guy today to find a gal that will only date one guy at a time, or is willing to only date one guy at a time to sort of, suss them out and test them out and see what they're made of. That's generally how women have operated in the past. You can kind of, like spinning plates is kind of the notion, and I'll explain it for those that are newer to the channel. So all that is dating multiple people simultaneously in a non-monogamous fashion. It's just a man of swamp sort of trope. It's like, you date, you spin these plates, give them a little bit of energy, and they kind of just go on their own. It's a strategy that I've encouraged guys to adopt because really women do it naturally, right? Like, because women are hypergamous, all that really means is they want to be with somebody that's of a higher socioeconomic caliber than them. And for them to establish what a higher caliber guy looks like, it requires them to generally date or entertain multiple options simultaneously. I think it's been like that since the beginning of time. It's just with social media, with dating apps, it sort of exaggerates it. Maybe, 200 years ago, she might have entertained a couple guys at the same time in her village or her town or something like that, and it wasn't that problematic. And of course, because the numbers were so low and notch counts were a lot lower back then, it wasn't that big of a deal. But today, guys like this are like, I'm matching you, or I'm taking you on a date, and I'm being a gentleman, and I'm opening the car door, and I'm doing all those chivalrous things that are kind of expected of guys. And after I feed you and, buy you dinner, you're texting literally texting another dude to come over to rearrange your guts. I had a guy call on my show once, and he was out on a date with a gal, bought her dinner, had a wonderful evening, we had a great time, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. And, as he's driving off, and he's heading home, he realizes 10 minutes into the drive, he looks in the back seat, he's like, oh, her jacket's back there. So being the gentleman that he was, he turns around and drives back to drop it off. Only by the time he got to her place, 15, 20 minutes later, 10 minutes out, 10 minutes back, let's call it 20 minutes. By the time he got back to her place, there was already a dude in her house doing his thing. So she had already set it up. Maybe she went to the bathroom doing her dinner or something like that. And, he was shocked. So it's not that uncommon. Again, you guys have to remember something. Reputation management for women is incredibly important. So they're not going to overtly state to you that they're entertaining other options. They're not going to overtly state, oh yeah, I'm seeing 2 or 3 other guys, or I've got a friends with benefits or something like that on the side, while you're whining and dining them, potentially looking at them for wife stock, putting a ring on their finger and babies in them, while they're, banging some dude after you take them out for dinner. It's not that uncommon, dudes. You have to understand that this is the reality of the deregulated sexual marketplace today, right? Women just have more options, and because women generally exercise options to get the best that they can get, they're of course going to have multiple options with social media apps and guys sliding in their DMs and dating apps and stuff like that. It's just a reality of the world that we live in today. So what can you do about this? Not much, unfortunately. If you're looking for a pure girl who's only going to date you and only you on a serious basis, this guy's 35 again, you're going to have a very, very hard time finding that. Your best bet is probably going to be date younger in some sort of environment or frame, whether it's contextually religious, cultural, something where there's restrictions on her dating a whole bunch of guys. So there's a strong, virtuous father in the picture that sets limits on how old she has to be when she can date, how she's going to date. She lives at home with her parents. A chick that lives at home with her parents is far better than a woman that lives on her own. Like a woman that lives on her own has a very, very easy time dating multiple guys and being totally fine with it, because it's like, it doesn't matter. There's no shame. But, when you live with your parents, you've got more hoops to jump through, if you will. So there's not a ton you can do about it, if I'm being perfectly honest. It's one of the realities of the world that we live in today. There's not a whole lot that can be done about it to improve it. You can be somewhat more discerning. I think one of the strategies that guys should adopt is just, again, to spin plates. Date multiple women simultaneously in a non-monogamous fashion. That could be 3 or 4 or 5, 6, doesn't matter what it is. But don't limit yourself to just one woman. Spin those plates. Let the cream rise to the top. Choose women that choose you, like women that genuinely reach out to you. Hey, how was your day? Can't wait to see you again. I'd love to make you dinner. Would you prefer this meal or this plate? That's a strong choosing signal. That's a strong indicator that she's a woman that's chosen you. And a woman that's chosen you has a very hard time dating multiple guys simultaneously. It's very, very difficult for her to form strong connections to multiple people. All right, guys, I really hope that you enjoyed that clip. If you want to check out the full-length podcast episode, you can find that right over here. Also, make sure you visit my website over here, where you'll find my supplements, the opportunity to book me privately one-on-one for coaching, and most importantly, my new School of Unplugging, which you'll find on the courses tab. Newer to the channel, hit subscribe.